And painting like this, your eyes go straight to the flowers. But that only happens because of everything that is around them. Perennial leaves, the terracotta pot, the old wall texture, the dark crevices, and the shadows reflecting on the wall. It will be very tempting to put a lot of detail, but that is not what is going to make these flowers pop. Hi, I'm Beatriz. Welcome back to the studio. For today's painting, I'm going to do the opposite of what I am inclining to do. I am not going to paint the flowers till the very end. But watch out, because they will start popping way before we add any paint. And by the time that we put paint, they will be fresh because they have not been overworked. So what are we waiting for? Let's start painting. I am starting by protecting the flower clusters with masking fluid so that I can paint more freely around the flowers and to protect the white paper for those flowers. I'm making a mix with indigo and burnt umber to make a very dark brown, almost black. If you want to paint this with me, the Paint Along pack for this tutorial is inside Open Studio on Patreon with the tracing templates, reference image, colors used, and the direct tutorial link. I will link all that below. Then I am adding a very pale yellow ochre wash to the wall and ledge and attach a little bit of the dark colors just to neutralize it. I am keeping the sunlit wall lighter and the ledge and right sides a little bit warmer and darker. Once this is dry, we can start painting the terracotta. I'm gonna start by putting an underpainting. This is translucent orange by Sminky. I'm doing it on dry paper. The reason why I start with an underpainting is because my terracotta pad is not white, and this color will become the highlight of the object. Later on, I can come with darker colors, etc. Besides, by putting it right now, it will help me judge better the values of the other things around it by not having the brightness of the white paper. I'm doing some underpainting, this time of the leaves, by bringing green gold and sap green in some areas. So as mentioned before, when we say underpainting, all that means is putting the lighter color of the leaves. We're going to do quite a bit of negative painting around here because we are not painting every single leaf. We're going to simplify this painting quite a bit. This is also allowing me to know where are the leaves, and then the rest I know that they are just shadows. Coming with some of those darks, I'm going to put some of the crevices that it will happen here. As you can see, my brush has a very thin tip, and then I'm just adding the impression of a crack in the wall, which also gives texture. Alright, so with the same diluted colors, but I warm it up a little bit with burnt sienna, we're gonna go ahead and start darkening this area and putting a little bit of texture in this other way by dropping color, going with water, and spreading it around. Just creating a little bit of texture, but I'll continue to put very little detail so that the focal point continues to be the pot and the flower. This wall is the one that almost is all white. This one is the darker. We have this part over here that is somewhere in the middle. So I'm coming with a little bit of the orange. Then we bring some of the yellow ochre. And now I'm gonna bring a few cracks, not as dark as the ones over there, but a few coming here, like give the impression that this is done. Keep it uneven. And then in a few areas, it's okay to go a little bit darker. And now I'm just gonna pick up very diluted leftover colors, and we're gonna go ahead and put a shadow onto all this area. And now that the first layer is dry, it's time for us to put our shadows. And this is gonna turn it from being a pot on a wall to be looking as a sunlit scene. The flowers will come at the end, but we had to build the light first. And that will make the flowers pop even before we apply any paint to them. Now I'm bringing burnt umber. I'm picking some of the darks that I was having before. Bring a hint of my translucent orange, and I'm gonna get ready to make the shadow color. Let me wet a little bit here so I have extra time to do the shadows that are gonna be in the wall. Then I come with that color and I'm gonna start filling up my shapes. Strong shadows like these are typical of very warm days, so therefore this is adding this, and the fact that the wall is very pale is what is adding to the impression that we want to create. This is gonna take me a little bit of time, so I think that the best way will be for me to show it to you in time lapse. Now I'm just gonna darken all this area, same colors but with a little bit darker. Of course, as I get closer to my pot, I imagine that you're doing a little bit of like negative painting, and we're gonna make the pot appear even more. This will be darker, so I'm starting to darken it more over here, and then we're gonna go from more to less. It is pretty dark all the way till around here. We're gonna start lighting it up. And now I just come with more diluted, more water, or you can bring more of the original color from this and make these two meet. And now at the same colors, I'm just gonna add extra water, and we're gonna put this shadow here. We want it to have a hard edge. There it comes out, and I'm gonna cover all this lighter area too. This cast shadow is doing a lot of the work for us actually, and it's gonna continue to go a little bit here between the leaves. We will take care of the leaves in a minute, but this cast shadow is telling us that it's a bright sunny day, how the sun is hitting hard, but it's also giving us some context to the pot and the flowers. All right, and now I'm gonna put this big cast shadow that comes from there, a little bit lighter, yes, and have those two meet. Let's bring it a little bit lighter, more water, same color, more water, and then we're gonna bring it here. As you can see, the shadows, painting the shadows is bringing the light into this painting. And I am bringing it here too, but warmer, meaning to the same colors that I was having here. I added a little bit more of the orange. I'm going to take the opportunity to do a little broken areas around here to allow some of this original color to show. Let's just put a little bit darker in this corner and allow these two to blend while they're wet. So now it's time to start working into our pot, our terracotta pot. I'm bringing Brown Sienna by Winsor & Newton. I mentioned the brown because it's a Brown Sienna that is slightly more on the orange side. And I added that to the leftover colors that I was putting for my shadows because this is a dark part of the pot. So I wait over here. I come with the Brown Sienna, as mentioned, and then I'm gonna start spreading it. But all of this will not be bright if we didn't put all the shadows ahead of time. I mean, with the colors, but I'm also building the shape and the volume by how I apply my strokes and also by where I put my values, darker or lighter. This is where having my underpainting color is gonna help me turn this. Look what happens. I come with the Brown Sienna, but I'm allowing the underpainting color to show, and then I'm turning this handle. So now I'm gonna come with some of the translucent orange by Schminke. Gonna bring some of it there. Gonna go from more to less. And just with water, rinse and make these two blend. I'm gonna bring a little bit of that one here too, and we're gonna let this dry before coming with the darker shadow. I am not gonna come any darker, so now I can get the masking that was protecting my flowers. At this point, the wall and the shadows and the terracotta are doing all the heavy lifting. It's time for us to put the leaves. The leaves are we're gonna be using negative painting because some of them are in the shade, and then that way we can highlight the ones that are hidden by the light. And the reward of the painting are the flowers. I'll save it to the very end till everything around it was ready. I'm coming with Perylene Green, which is a very, very dark green that is gonna feel like if it is a black. I'm putting it thick into the shadows and I'm going negative painting around my leaves. I am not gonna paint every single leaf, but this is shadow, shadow, and we're gonna have the shadows inside here as well. So what I'm doing is I'm painting around the edges, for example, of these flowers, and they will pop, and also around the edges of a couple of these leaves, making the shape of the pad at the same time. The ones that will come from the shadow, there will be the darkness, and then they will go from dark to lighter where the sun hits. I take the time when you put the darks to do the edges of the other ones, and then have them come, as I mentioned before, from dark to lightness, and then voila, we have another leaf. Sap green. Then we come with green gold, and then as I come over here, bring it out, bring the dark color. I want this leaf to give the impression that it's appearing between the shadows into the light. So I bring some of the colors that I was using for my shadows. Drop. Then switch and bring some of the Perylene Green on top of that. Bring a couple inside. And then instead of only going with water, come with the sap green and use that as a blending between all these colors. Okay, now I'm gonna go negative painting around here, meaning all this color is gonna go inside. And as I come with that, I'm gonna do the same thing, make the edges of another leaf that is gonna be here appearing between dark and light. And again, doing the edge of this other leaf, putting it over here where I'm gonna have the stem that is taking up into the flowers. There's another leaf over here, so I'm painting around them, and by painting around them, they're appearing. This is the other leaves underneath here, but not all of them are visible because a lot of them are in shadow. Do a couple more around here. To my background color, now I'm bringing some of my Perylene Green, and then I'm painting, negative painting around my flowers. These are flowers, so I want them to pop good. And then these over here are leaves, so I'm also gonna do those impressions of the leaves. And then I'm gonna put a bunch of these ones in the shadow. Come with a brush that has very little water, bring some of them over here, so we go from more to less. Okay, again, the idea here is not to paint every single detail. I'm just using shadows to bring the light, the brightness, and that is giving me shape that is allowing these leaves to read as such. Just allowing a few clear leaves is enough for our brain to fill up like the rest are also being leaves. I'm going to put a little bit of the characteristics geranious leaves, which they get a little darker in the center, and then they curl a little to the top. Just impression. And bring some of the Perylene Green here too, here or there. All right, let's do the last one, green gold. This one also goes from more to less, so let's just bring the brightness here. Yeah. Sap green, let them blend. tap with water, allow these two to blend, and then I start bringing the perylene green, and this one is also going to be coming from the shadow just as the sister leaves, and we're going to go from more to less and tap so this blend. Okay, to the perylene green I'm adding the colors of the shadows, and then we're gonna go ahead. All of this is dark, obviously it's dirt, there's no light coming, but I do want that leaf to go, so I'm painting around it again, concentrating into making the flower shapes. Pretty much going back to the colors that I was having over there, translucent orange with burnt umber and a little bit of the neutral tint, I believe it is. Going down, I'm bringing this shadow around here, giving shape to my pot. You can see contrast. All these contrasts that I'm building is what is making my brights, my light colors look really, really bright. I go from lighter to darker. I start bringing the darker colors around here and allow both of them to blend into the paper. What we're doing here is making the pot kind of appear between the shadows of the background. And this shadow is also giving us the shape of the pot. And I mentioned many times why I start with darker colors, because as you can see by putting my darker colors here now, all these ones look like they are too light and we're going to have to reapply it, which is okay, it's no problem. But that's why I always say the color is relative. It's relative to the one that is next to it. Let me let that dry a little bit more. There's a little bit, these are casting shadows here, so I can go ahead and apply them too. Go back and put the dark area underneath the rim of the pot. Back to the bronze sienna and darken this area. Again, be mindful of the direction of the pot, and then just go from more to less, a little bit lighter here at the bottom. All right, maybe just a little of the burnt umber here at the bottom. Tap, and this is the perfect time to start putting our flowers. And because we waited to the very end, our flowers are going to be nice and fresh, nothing overworked or anything like that. We're starting with white paper, a little bit of permanent rose, but with a little bit of water next to it, and then just drop. That's flower number one. Let's just do another center here, radiate, and then just go with water. Not painting every petal either, we're just giving impressions, and we want to keep it fresh. Some of them will be also shadows there in the wall, okay? Like I know that this is a shadow in the wall. So geranious flowers grow kind of like into clusters, so I don't need to paint every single one, because for one it will not look natural, for another it will take too much time. So if I just put the color and then I just put a little dark, like if it is a center. That's enough for our eyes, tap, to fill it up, and then we're going to come and put a couple shadows in a minute, and that will be it. For this one, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to my permanent rose to make it as if it is more coral, just to give a little variation. All is wet. Come with permanent rose, put a center, and then let's just put a center here too. And my flowers are popping up so nicely because two reasons. One, they're fresh, I didn't overwork them, I save them for the end. And also because of all this high contrast that I built around them. Okay. So I'm coming with a little bit of magenta. I want a little bit of a darker center. Tap, tap. Put one there, can put one here. Finally, I'm mixing the permanent rose with some of the colors from the background, maybe more permanent rose. I want shadows here, but these are shadows, flower shadows, that they're gonna have the color of the flower. All right. Okay, so a couple finishing touches. For example, this needs to be darkened a little bit, maybe not as much. Hang in there. We're gonna, I just applying what I see that it needs to be darker, and then rinse. Bring your brush and blend. The other detail that I see is, let me put this. This dark needs to come up a little bit more, so I wait a little. Bring the darks to meet, so they meet a little bit farther away. I can see there's creating a bit of a hard edge, so help them blend if you need to. Bring some other colors from there out, and then bring the dark color. Okay, I'm coming with burnt sienna a little bit here, and then I think I'm gonna call this painting done, because at this point I think we have already accomplished what we set up to do, which is obviously to have these flowers pop among all the leaves and shadows. Very happy with this painting. I love how bright the flowers are, and we accomplished that, but not by overpainting it, but by leaving them to the end, and also all the supporting role that everything else plays. The Paint Alone pack is inside Patreon and Open Studio, where you can get the tracings, the final reference pictures, the colors, and the direct link to this tutorial. I will link that below. I thank you for being here. I hope you learned something with me today, and I will see you in my next video.